Hey, it's Frank here and welcome to this first video about the Never Cold Call Again social media selling system. I am very excited to finally get this product to you because it's been such a long time coming. Now, it started out, a little bit of history as to where it came from. Just over a year ago, I started doing my paid webinar series. And the focus of that, even though there were some webinars on business networking, webinars on sales closing, profit justification, by far the absolutely best-selling, most popular webinars have been How to Get Hot Leads with LinkedIn Part 1. My Part 2 in that series, the Advanced LinkedIn Sales Prospecting Strategies, as well as my Get Hot Leads and Easy Sales with Facebook webinar. Now, after each of those webinars, first of all, I got tons of positive feedback. If you've been on the webinars or if you've seen the sales pages to buy the replay downloads, you've undoubtedly seen the quotes I've put up there, testimonials from people who are getting huge success from these webinars. But another question kept coming up, and this one was very frequent. Everybody said, your $29 webinar was fabulous. I'm already getting leads and sales from it, but I'd gladly pay $50 or $100 or even $200 for a much more detailed course where you're actually walking people through the steps, screen video showing how to do everything in LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, other social media properties, press release sites, free press releases, which are a big part of social media nowadays because it's very easy to do a free press release on a website that distributes them and then syndicate them out to your social media properties and start getting lots and lots of leads and prospects from that. So I began working on this, and of course social media, the landscape keeps changing, so there have been a lot of updates. You may have received some of my surveys or emails asking for your input, what you would like to see in the course. But the good news is I'm just about ready to get this out to you in the next few weeks. So why a social media selling system? The Never Cold Call Again system has been around for more than 10 years. I sold the first copy of it in June of 2003, and of course it has changed dramatically since then. Or I should correct that and say it has expanded quite a bit, because the internet section back in 2003 was about blogging, it was about getting leads and traffic through a personal website, very basic info on how to use Google AdWords at a very low budget of $25 or $50 a month to get leads, using sites like easyinarticles.com, which is still a good website, but it's only one of a gazillion great sites that you can use to generate traffic from. But the bottom line is that now, this year, today, there's a catchphrase that's been going around, and a lot of sales authors and sales experts and other people have been saying it, and it's this: social media is the new cold call. Now, if there's one thing in this world I hate, and you know I hate it, it's cold calling. And that's because cold calling, it's been obsolete for a long time. I always say it hasn't worked since the 1980s. Fellow author Dan Kennedy, in some of his CDs I've listened to, said it hasn't worked since the 1950s. So stop using a 1950s sales approach. Well, that may be a little extreme, but the bottom line is that cold calling has been dead for a long time. I've repeatedly told you about the university studies, the one from the University of North Carolina saying over 80% of decision makers absolutely positively will not accept or buy from a cold call. There was the study done by Baylor University that it now takes an experienced salesperson 7.5 hours to get one qualified appointment from cold calling. And qualified means qualified. Doesn't mean you called someone, they agreed to meet with you. It means you're meeting with someone who is in a sales cycle for your product or service. They're ready to buy right now, and they have the financial means of buying, whether it's money in the bank or credit in order to buy your product or service. So 7.5 hours to get one qualified lead. 4 out of 5 decision makers will not accept a cold call. But then this new thing came about, social media, and it's been developing and evolving over the years. And now it's gotten to the point where social media really is the new cold call if you know how to do it correctly. Now, not too long ago, and I may have written a blog or an email newsletter on this, I don't recall because I write so many, just about a new one every day. But there was a study done, and the background on this is an organization asked me to come out and speak and talk to them about how they can reduce sales turnover in their organization. Very simply because on average, when a salesperson quits, it costs the company about $25,000 in recruiting, training, hiring expenses and whatnot to replace that person. And that's not counting the cost of having an open sales territory that's not being covered by a live salesperson. So it's very expensive to have sales turnover. And what we found doing our research is that the #1 cause of sales turnover is, guess what? Cold calling. The requirement to make cold calls is the #1 reason why salespeople quit and go to work for the competition. They take their business with them, their book of business, there's an open territory that's not being covered, plus the 25 grand that it costs to recruit, hire, train, and replace that salesperson, and the costs get upwards of $70,000 or $80,000. So bottom line, if you're a company owner or a sales manager or sales VP, take that into consideration if you're telling your salespeople to cold call, because you're losing a lot of money via sales turnover as a result of cold calling. But I went off on a tangent there. The point of this is that my research assistant, Kristen, who is fabulous, she gives me a white paper about this thick every time I tell her to go out and find something. There was a survey done, and I can't remember the name of the organization that did the survey, but they surveyed business owners, small, medium, and enterprise business owners, executives, and directors. And they said, what are your most liked and most disliked forms of approach by salespeople? So the most hated form of contact by salespeople was, no surprise, cold calling. I can tell you myself, as the owner of multiple businesses, I hate being cold called, and it's virtually impossible to cold call me. You can try, you will not get through. You don't even know where my office is because I keep that a secret location. The address you see is a mailing address, but it's not where my desk is located. Now, having said all that, the #2 thing, well, first let me go to the most liked form of approach by salespeople. The most liked form of approach or initial contact by a salesperson was a well-written, personalized email. I was very pleasantly surprised at that. I was a little bit surprised that they don't consider those emails to be spam, and they really don't. And I was pleasantly surprised because part of what I teach in the Never Cold Call Again system and my other programs is how to write a well-written, personalized email to a prospect that will make them want to meet with you. So I was very happy to see that the #1 most appreciated form of cold contact by a salesperson was a personalized email. What worried me was the second most hated form of contact after cold calling. I'm going to put that off for a second now and get to that later because I have some important statistics I want to talk to you about. Now, I've said that social media is the new cold call, but as you know, I'm a numbers guy. I like to put things into hard numbers, so if you'll bear with me, I've got a cheat sheet here in my pocket on a Post-it note here, and I went back into Kristen's research project and pulled some statistics out for you. First of all, 60% of companies are expanding their social media efforts. Why? Well, very simply because social media is working for them. The sales and marketing departments of organizations, companies large and small, 60%, more than half, in fact, that's nearly 2/3, are actively expanding their social media sales and marketing efforts right now. Why are they doing that? Well, some more numbers for you. 60% of organizations, 68%, that's more than 2/3, 68% of organizations are consistently getting hot qualified leads as a result of their social media efforts, both the efforts of the company at a marketing level and via the efforts of the salespeople who are doing this. On top of that, 55% of salespeople, on average, 55%, more than half, have closed deals directly from social media. So they've generated the lead from social media. They've engaged the prospect with social media, and then, of course, a big part of this is taking that relationship offline, getting face-to-face in an appointment, or getting on a go-to meeting, or whatever method you use to meet with prospects, and taking it offline and closing a sale. Well, here's a stickler in that. 55%, more than half of salespeople, are closing deals on social media. But of those 55%, 3/4, 75% have never had any formal social media training. So they're winging it. They're just going on their own, trial and error, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't on their own, like I did many years ago, over a period of several years, trying to find alternatives to cold calling. So you got more than 3/4 of salespeople who are going on social media with no formal training. They haven't even been on a webinar like one of the ones I've done, and yet more than half are closing deals as a result of social media. The ones who have had some formal training are closing a much more higher percentage of sales from social media as a result of that. So it just opens your eyes to the possibilities of what is available to you if you have proper social media training. Here's another interesting statistic, and this one was an eye-opener to me because, as you may know, I own a company called ROI Media here in Dallas, and we do Google AdWords management and campaign building and optimization for businesses, among other services, but that's one of the biggest ones. 65% of Google AdWords pay-per-click users say that they're moving away from Google AdWords and shifting that time into social media because they're getting a better return on investment from social media. Social media is easier. There are little or no costs involved. And so when I get my social media selling system to you, you're going to find out it's not about paying for LinkedIn ads. It's not about paying for Facebook ads. It's about things you can do for free on social media. Other than paying $20 a month, I think it is. Last time I checked, is $20 a month for a premium LinkedIn account. That's really the only expense that's involved. And as a salesperson, you should already have that. If you're on LinkedIn and you're not springing $20 a month for a LinkedIn premium account, just please go ahead and do that after you close this video out and upgrade your LinkedIn account, because you'll get a lot of features and functionality that you don't get with a free account that are going to be critical to your success in making more sales, getting more leads, and bottom line, making more money with social media. And so there you have a big picture of why it's so important for any salesperson to be using social media. Now, one of the big things that differentiates myself from other sales authors and other sales trainers is this. Put my Post-it back in my pocket here, if you'll bear with me. Almost all sales trainers, sales authors, they've been out of the field for a very long time, 10 years, 20 years, sometimes longer. So their knowledge and their experience is just as obsolete as those sales managers who've been out of the field for 10, 15, 20 years who are telling you to go out and make cold calls. The difference is, like I said, I own this other company. I have sales agents, independent reps who I hire, and I've trained them on the very social media techniques I'm going to give to you. And they are killing it. They're crushing it with social media, doing it the right way. Not the way that, not winging it, not looking at free articles on websites and trying to figure out, blasting things out on Twitter and hoping something sticks. That's a shotgun approach. And of course, I don't, as Gordon Gekko said on Wall Street, I don't throw darts at a board, pal. I bet on sure things. What I'm going to show you with my social media training is how to bet on sure things, how to do extremely laser-targeted social media efforts and campaigns that will get you hot leads, qualified leads, hot prospects, and easy sales from social media. Not only are my people doing it, but there are many advertising agencies. Just a bit of background on my company, most of our business, especially the big 5-figure per month accounts, aren't coming from my direct sales reps. They're coming from ad agencies, traditional ad agencies who sell TV and radio airtime, who do print advertising and create ads and creatives that go into magazines. Most of them are way behind or have zero knowledge about the internet. And so they come to companies like us and they resell our services to their clients. And so what I've done at their request is gone out to each of these advertising agencies and personally trained their sales reps on how to sell our online marketing services. And again, it's primarily through social media. And again, they're crushing it. We've got accounts coming in. One, for example, is a $25,000 a month reputation management account. So here's someone who's had some false ripoff reports and false BBB reports, some of these websites like that. People have been attacking him. Competitors have been logging into these sites under fake names and posting fake negative reviews against this person. So that was a big account for us, 25 grand a month over a period of a 6-month contract to repair this person's online reputation. The lead came from someone, a salesperson I trained on social media, who brought the deal to me. There's some others. There's a franchise with 300 locations with a marketing budget of $3,500 each. So you do the math on that. That's millions of dollars a year. That's going to be coming into us as a result of a salesperson who was trained on how to use social media to find those kinds of deals. So this, and to compare, before they were getting these deals, before I came in and taught them how to do this, they were getting, John the plumber down the street who can afford to spend $250 a month, which are accounts that we can't even handle because our hard costs are much more than that. So think of the paradigm change, the huge change, not just in mindset, but in actual dollars and actual income, from doing traditional sales techniques, whether it's cold calling or going to networking mixers or even things like flyers that I teach, and bringing in $250 a month, $500 a month accounts, to learning how to use social media properly Let me rephrase that because I did say it right. Social media properties properly. Try saying that fast 5 times. I can't even say it once. And going from accounts that were worth a few $100s a month to anywhere from $25,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month as a result of knowing how to use social media. So it's pretty mind-boggling what the possibilities are to really and truly understand what you can accomplish through the use of social media when you do it properly. Now, having said all that, there's one big gotcha, one big caveat of social media. Now, I'm going to teach you how to use all social media properties. I'm going to teach you how to use LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to show you how to use some free press release websites, sites like PR Log that have incredible Google authority. And so content that you put out on these properties, and I'll show you what kind of content to create and put out there. But you could put them out, you could syndicate them out, syndicate them through your social media properties. I'll show you how to do things like sign up for Hootsuite for $20 and syndicate out to a gazillion properties beyond the biggies, sites like Quora and Typepad. And there's just so many, I can't even mention them here. But when I had Kristen, going back to that research report, I've told you some of the results from that. So the most hated form of contact by a salesperson is cold calling. Second most, or the most favored form of contact was a personalized email. But the red flag that went up was after cold calling, the second most hated form of contact by a salesperson was what was described by the respondents as LinkedIn spam. And so many salespeople are using LinkedIn now that's becoming a bit crowded. And so it's not enough to be on LinkedIn and using it. And that's one of the reasons I not only had a how to get hot leads with LinkedIn webinar part 1, but I did a part 2 to teach people how to proactively go out and get prospects, but doing it without being seen as spam. And so one of the big things you have to understand with social media is how to do it without being seen like a spammer. Now, when I sent a survey out a few days ago asking people what would you like to see in the social media selling system to make sure I've got all my bases covered before I make it available to you and make sure you're actually getting what you want and, more importantly, what you need to make more sales. One common question that came up was, will this really be effective now that so many salespeople are on social media? So I'm going to answer that in 2 parts. First of all the salespeople on social media, like I've said before, 3 out of 4 have had no formal training. And it's these 3 out of 4 salespeople who are causing all this spam to go on. The 1 out of 4 salespeople who know what they're doing are not being seen as spammers. They're getting hot leads, hot sales. If I remember correctly from my little Post-it note that I jotted my notes on down before I turned on the camera here, 68% of salespeople in organizations are consistently generating leads with social media, and 55% are closing deals directly from social media. Well, the people who have had training are doing dramatically more than that. People who know how to use social media are generating 100% of their hot qualified leads from social media. So forget about not having to cold call anymore, but no more having to go out and do networking mixers, which is something I no longer do because the power of LinkedIn and social media is so powerful compared to that. No longer having to go out and do free speaking at Rotary clubs and other venues like that. No longer having to do flyers and pay companies $500 to get 5,000 flyers out to business parks. Still great to do those things, but social media can eliminate all that, and you can really and truly get 100% of your hot qualified leads from social media if and when you learn how to do it properly. And you can take 55% of salespeople who are getting sales from social media. Well, 55% of salespeople means that 55% of salespeople have gotten at least 1 sale from social media. I'm going to show you how to get all of your sales from social media, how to completely blow out your numbers using social media. And so the big question that I'm going to leave you with here today is if cold calling is the most hated form of contact by a salesperson and LinkedIn and social media spam is the second most disliked form of contact by a salesperson, how do you use social media properly to not be seen as a spammer or worse, as a cold caller? So I'm going to leave you with that thought today. Contemplate that. I'll have a new video for you in a few more days that will answer that question for you and give you some more insight and sneak peek and some previews into what the Never Cold Call Again social media selling system is all about. And incidentally, just today I ran into a friend here, a friend locally who started out as a customer and is now a friend of mine. And he said, when's your social media selling system coming out? And I said, very soon, the next few weeks. So hopefully I'll have a definitive date for you a few days from now when I get the second video out to you. So contemplate that. Think about what you have done correctly, what you've done incorrectly in social media, what your thoughts are on how to use social media to prospect and to get leads and sales without being seen as a social media spammer. So I'll leave you with that thought. I'll talk to you soon, and good luck and happy selling.